Hey, 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 good day. Welcome to episode 3 of the Rockin' Chair Chronicles podcast. It's your boy. You should know me by now, it's Shunny, and I'm here with my little bro, also known as
Stube.
and we're here today bringing you another episode. Now, first thing we want to tell you before we jump into the subject is to make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. You see it scrolling at the bottom on the banner. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, like the episodes, subscribe to the channel, and then make sure you click notifications so you can get a notification for future anything we do future, whether it's an episode or a short or a comment or post or whatever it is we do. Stay locked in with us. We got y'all. I'm telling you, go enjoy what we have to share. And today's episode, with that in mind, as we tell you to come on in, pull up a chair with us and rock with us, the importance of men having integrity and character, or as we like to say, just being a man of honor and everything that that encompasses. So today, even though we narrowing it down to men, ladies, you can still chime in. So now, hey, we're gonna give you some tips and little pointers to be able to find out, to look into a man and see if a man is even worthy of your attention. So hanging out with us too, because this gonna be good information for you too. So being a man of honor, what that is, examples, all of that. We're gonna talk about that today. So being a man of honor, having integrity and character. Steve.
Right. So I just want to break down those two words, integrity and character. Um, I would define integrity as, someone who adheres or abides to, some morals or ethics. And I think character is just more of a broader term. Um, at this time that we have on earth, we're going to be placed in different tests and scenarios to try to do the right thing and trying to do the right things over and over builds your character over time. So I would just sum it up for character, is basically how someone will behave in different scenarios based upon those principles that they pick up.
That's facts. So that's essentially what we're talking about today. So just to sum up what Stu said so eloquently, uh, integrity and character, being a man of moral uprightness, with principles, a man who is honorable, a man who does what is right, regardless of what it may cost him. Because let's just be honest, in the world that we live in today, doing what's right at some point in time is gonna cost you something, whether it costs you friends or
Yeah.
whether it just costs you, standing at your job or status at your job or just status in your neighborhood, whatever it is, it
Hmm.
could cost you something. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is that you are a man of honor and you do what is right, regardless of what it costs you. So
Right.
that's where we kind of
Yeah.
land the groundwork and the foundation for our discussion
Yeah.
with you guys today or
I do
much
want to
ago.
say this though, integrity. This is
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing to remember when we're talking
Say
about
it.
integrity. Um so most people, I guess, people with some sense. Most people they'll try to do the right thing with with all the eyes on them. But
Mhm.
a man with integrity, they'll do the right thing when no one's watching. So that's really your the true test is, how will you act when no one is watching you? Will you still do the right thing?
I had to put that on there
Yeah.
because you saw how he just jumped in there. You was like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
hold on. We
Had to put
can't
that in
move
there.
on yet. We putting this in here right now. And he's absolutely right. So you can have a picture or how you want to portray yourself to people in public, but okay, that's just how you portraying people in public and not just saying that that's not who you actually are, but the real person is when it's nobody looking at you.
Right.
The real man is the one when it's just him or he just thinks it's him because ultimately it's God who sees all things. We know that.
Yeah.
And again, we coming from the Christian standpoint, that kind of takes us into, the foundation of it. Where do we get, or why do we say that this is so important to be a man of honor or a man of of character and integrity is because we get it from the Bible. We see it in the lens of scripture, in the whole totality of it. There's multiple places in scripture in the Proverbs that talks about doing what's right, having integrity, having character, being a respectable and honorable person. Too many to list in Proverbs. But another
Mhm.
passage that comes up in my mind, Stu, I don't know if you may be thinking like this also, is when it gives the qualifications for a pastor in First
Mhm.
Timothy and in Titus. And one of the things that it says in First Timothy 3, it starts off saying that the man must be above reproach.
Mhm.
And a lot of people kind of handle that separately from the rest of the qualifications that it lists there. But just being a man above reproach, in short, you can sum it up as just being a man who has integrity, a man who
Right.
has honor, and a man who has principles and is a man of character. So, and then it lists out everything under that, kind of as it defines different qualifications. But everything is up under the umbrella of being above reproach. And the only man that is above reproach is the man who has that honor or that integrity and that character, both to Christians and non-Christians alike. This is a
Mhm.
man who is just the same across the board, a man who is just going to be the same man every day.
Right.
Despite what might be going on in their lives, me going through hardships, troubles, different things like that. But this is going to be just a man who is dependable and who you can count on.
Right.
And
Yeah.
dependable and counting on this man is, I think, one of the most important aspects of it. You can chime in too on this. Is
Mhm.
just being someone who honors their word. Like, I think far
Right.
too
Yeah.
often today, you see men, whether it's on social media or just in your day to day interactions with men, how they just flippantly almost just say, "Yeah, I'm gonna do this," or "Yeah, I got you, I'm gonna do this," or
Right.
"I'm gonna say this," or
Mhm.
"Yeah, I come and do this," or "I come swing around there." Yeah, I got you on that right there, and they either have no intentions of following through with what they said that they
Right.
would do, or they just forget about it because it's not really important to them that they hold to their word, or they just what it's like whatever. I'm just brushing this person off, brushing
Right.
this guy off, and not really worried about anything that he had to say. I'm just trying to say
Mhm.
something to get him out of here. I had no intentions of doing this or that. So at the very, I think, most basic level is just being a man who honors their word, their commitment. Now, I'm not talking about, if life circumstances come up that
Mhm.
prevents the man from, holding to his word or doing what he said he was going to do. That's understandable. We all know sometimes things comes up where, you just can't do what you promised that you would do. No, we're
Mhm.
talking about the ones who just have a habitual tendency to just flippantly just promise and say that they
Right.
would do things and then they don't. So I don't know if you got anything you want to add to that, Stu.
Right. I agree with that. Because basically, having integrity that's gonna leak out into all lanes in your life, on your job, relationships, you know, um, just that connecting with people or whatnot. So, just being a man of integrity, um, not only helps yourself, but your dealings with other people. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. And like I said, I know you and I, we kind of came up different.
Right. Yeah.
And you had the experience in college. So not to put you on the spot,
Uh
but
huh.
was it anything like you could take from, your experience in college and going through those 4 years that you can see the importance of being a man that is an honorable man, a man that has integrity, a man that has
Right.
character?
Well, I'll touch on this here. As you guys know, when I first got to, college, uh, kind of didn't take it serious, didn't understand the opportunity I had there. Um, so when you go to school, no one's there. Mom's not there, dad's not there to make sure that you go to class or whatnot. Doing what you're supposed to do. No one's really watching. No one's watching at all, for that matter. So when I, first got to school, kind of, didn't take it seriously. Then after a while, took it seriously and did well in school. Um, when I first got there, sometimes I would skip class. Telling on myself here. Sometimes I would skip class or whatnot. No, but
Breaking news
right,
exclusive.
not go to class when I should go to class. Um, but just thinking about those little small things there. I may be small to some people, but just having integrity, not wasting an opportunity. It did cost money and whatnot. So doing the right thing and handling my business as a man. So um, just something short.
Yeah, definitely. At some
Hmm.
point, it's just go be time to pay the piper. You can only pretend to be a man of honor for so long until eventually you're gonna be exposed.
Right. Oh yeah.
And
Hmm.
I tell you, that's a lot of hard work to continue to try to stack lie upon lie upon lie because then you got to try to remember
Right.
the first lie you told, and then you got to remember the second lie you
Uh-huh.
told, and then you crossing lies up like that's just a
Right.
miserable way for a man to live. And um, yeah, men, people are really dependent on us to be who we say we are and to be men that have exemplary character and integrity and honor. And another thing I
Uh-huh.
was thinking about too, as we kind of move along in our discussion was like there's a lot of examples that we can take from just our day to day lives, even
Mhm.
whether it's a negative example of well, man, I don't want to be like that because that man, that person doesn't have integrity.
Right.
Or you can look at this and say, wow, that is a great example of a man who has integrity of character. And I think sometimes that it can come from like positive examples can come from unlikely sources.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
if I could say it that way. And now this is kind of touching on how our difference was as far as our teenage years to early 20 years.
Mhm.
Like what I was thinking about was, as being a guy who was running around out there on the streets was how, and a lot of you guys may have heard about this about the statement, "Well, it's no snitching." So on its
Mhm.
face, people, will take that and look at it and say, "No, that's not right. That's how could you do that? How could you say that? No, and um, that's the problem today, and all those types of things." But I started to think about it from a different direction. As we, decided that we wanted to talk about this topic, I thought about it from
Mhm.
this. So, um, some of you may know, some not, but when a young man decides that he's going to live that type of life, they are aware of and they are assuming all of the risks that come with living that type of life. And so here's what I mean. So there's only one or two ways that it'll end up for you. Unless you just quit and decide to leave it alone. Is you're either gonna
Mhm.
be in jail or you gonna be. And I'm learning about YouTube here. They say you can't say the DEA word. They say you got to say unalive.
Oh, okay.
You heard
Can't
of
say
that?
DIE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You heard of the
Yeah, I think
unalive?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you can't say certain
So
words, yeah.
you either go be in jail or unalive. That's how we go
Unalive.
do. Yeah, we pick it up. We pick it up the lingo on
Unalive.
how to maneuver on Facebook pretty good here. But yeah, you either gonna be in jail or unalive, right? Those are the only two things. And at some point, guys may be faced with a situation where they might be sitting in there with detectives or whatever, and they're being offered some type of the deal to get off of some of their
Right.
time if
Good
they
old
just
Popeyes two-piece.
get a two-piece. You might get your
Mhm.
McDonald's meal or whatever it is. They say, hey, if give up your partner and we'll cut you down, or we'll just go ahead and just use you as a witness. We'll just get you off completely. Go ahead and tell us, who else was with you or whatever it is, and we'll go ahead and we'll let you off and get in that time. And some people will either go with that, or some guys they'll say, you know what, nah, I did this. You got me. I'm taking my charge. I'm taking it. You
Mhm.
had to do your work and find out whatever else you could find out. But I'm taking my charge because listen to me. I knew the risk when I came out here and I decided to live in a certain way. So if you got me, you got me. I'm not about to get anybody else. and take them away from their people or whatever because they managed to get away or whatever the case is. I assumed this risk. I knew what risk I was taking when I got out here, and you got me, and I'm taking it.
Right. Yeah.
So some people might look at that and they say, "Man, boy, you should have just went on ahead and gave up, your people and got
Right.
out and you get
Uh-huh.
away scot free." But I started thinking about it. I was like, I can look at that example and I can say, regardless of the circumstances of it or the way that the person is living, I can look at that act that that person did, and this is just me as saying that's somebody who had a measure of integrity.
Right.
That's a man who had a measure of integrity because he realized that he put himself in that situation. Nobody else twisted his arm or held a thing to his head and made him jump out there and do that. He knew that if he got out there and did it, he was doing it on his own. He was assuming his risk on his own, and he wasn't going to bring anybody else into it if it came to the situation that he was in now. So
Mhm.
I'm willing to stand out there, on my own with my thoughts on this particular one, as being an example of somebody who had, or example of a man who has integrity. But I really think you can look at that situation and say, hey, this is a person who just he's taking what he did, assuming the responsibility on his own. Some people would say, and I would agree, like a man and doing, what he did
Mhm.
without trying to get anybody else twisted up because he knew of the risk that was associated with living in that certain way. So I don't know if you have any thoughts or pushback or anything on that that you wanna kind of chime in with as we're talking about
Yeah,
men of
yeah,
integrity.
I agree with that assessment. As far as the streets go, I would say, that was just, a street integrity there. You know what you're signing up for. And if you get caught, don't bring nobody else down. You just take your charge. But I would like to say this: if you're a civilian, please go to the authorities. If you see something, you
Yeah,
should
it's a
do the right
difference.
thing and go to the authorities. So yeah.
Yeah, without getting into it too deep,
Uh
yeah,
huh.
it definitely is a difference between, as like you said, somebody who is a civilian versus somebody who is trying to,
Right. Quote
living
unquote street soldier.
right, living a certain way. So yeah, he's hundred
Uh huh.
percent right to make that distinction on that point. So you could see examples, at least in my estimation, from unlikely sources. um, I
Hmm.
guess clear ones would be just if you're on your job, just doing right as a man, having integrity. We talked about it already. Just doing what you say you're gonna do. It's just as simple as
Right.
that. It kind of just starts with that,
Yeah.
and just continuing to build up, like you also talked about earlier. Just continuing to stack day on day of being a man of
Right.
integrity
Yeah.
and just developing in that to being who your character is, like what you are
Hmm.
known for, like you just being a man of exemplary integrity and character and honor. You got anything to add?
No, I agree. Nothing to add on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and this extends, just not to those areas, certain areas of life. This is like really just all encompassing of all areas of life for a man. So, a family man, being a husband, being a dad, just being a leader, in the
Hmm.
world, a leader on the job, whatever the case may be. Just culturally, it applies to those things as well. And I think one of the examples of this also that we mentioned, somewhat earlier is just acknowledging, your mistakes,
Right. Yeah.
acknowledging mistakes.
That's part of integrity.
Yeah,
Knowing when you're wrong.
yep. A
Yeah, absolutely.
man will acknowledge mistakes, acknowledge missteps, acknowledge sins, against other people, and ask forgiveness when it's applicable too. So
Mhm.
it's not as if, and this is a pet peeve for me, and something that I is always at the top of my mind. It would seem, at least anyway. I don't want to just you know acknowledge mistakes, or I should say, I don't want to not acknowledge mistakes and not ask for forgiveness when I need to, and just continue to go on.
Right.
Like
Yeah. Like sweep it under the
yeah,
rug
like
kind of
sweep it
thing.
under the
Yeah.
rug or just say, well, I'm just a fallen man. Those things gonna happen. Let me just keep on
Right.
going. No, no. If I want to be an example to my wife, if I want to be an example to my children, or example on my job, or example out and about in the world, I have to be a man who acknowledges mistakes that he made, or acknowledge not only mistakes, just blatant errors or sins, or just lapses in conduct, just admit those and go to the person or people who were affected by it and simply ask their forgiveness.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, you know, please forgive me. I was wrong here. And it's about being specific as well.
Right.
So it's not just saying general, forgive me. It's like, okay, well, for what? Like,
Right.
what did you do? That's not just, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, well,
Right.
for what? Like,
Yeah. Saying
man,
it
you
like
need to be
that's kind of
specific.
showing you don't really care. Yeah.
Hmm.
Because when you really care about something, you kind of go into detail, and specifically talking about forgiveness and, you know, um, and this kind of goes on with repentance and whatnot. You got to, have that wherewithal to know, okay, yeah, this is what I did that was wrong. Let me go to this person, has a fault against me. Um, and just let me, explain it to them what I did, and hey, I'm sorry. So,
Yeah.
hmm
And it's not like, I mean, we can look at it like from a standpoint of being a Christian, right?
yeah,
Man, we don't a Christian just doesn't go to God and say, oh Lord, forgive me.
right,
And you just let that just be it. Now, maybe some do because I guess
yeah,
in a lot of our minds, we're like, well, God knows all things anyway. So if I
right,
just go to Him and say, just forgive me,
yeah.
Lord, He knows already what I'm
Kind of
talking
like a
about.
callous attitude, though. In my opinion, I would say, even though he does know, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, I don't
Yeah,
know. It's like maybe it's like you almost like you presuming upon God. It's like a real
yeah,
cavalier attitude.
hmm
Like, oh, He just knows anyway. Let me just make this short and sweet and just say,
right.
I'm sorry,
And that's what we do to
forgive
each
me.
other. You
Yeah, and we
know.
do that to each other.
Uh huh.
But is that how we should do each other though? Like that's
No,
a question. No, we need
no.
to be specific because
hmm
about hey, because if we so first of all, if we go on to somebody and asking them to forgive us for something, we know why we coming.
Right,
Like we're not just coming and we didn't do nothing.
right,
You see what I'm saying? So since you know that you did, so just go ahead and just be specific with what you did.
right. And that's a part of that accountability that we're talking about. And I think that helps mend that relationship with the person too that you offended. Just getting it out, which specifically you did. I think that makes them feel better, about things going forward, kind of thing. I know, I would feel like that. Someone just say, hey, they did something to me and say, hey, I'm sorry. And then we just go along, sweep it on the rug kind of thing, kind of acknowledge, what was done. I'm not saying gotta keep saying sorry, 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 So yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
hmm
You know what? You bring up a good point though too. So it's not just like yeah, that is good because like some people will use it.
hmm
Some men will use it like as a excuse me.
A weapon kind of thing. I know
Yeah,
what you
like
mean. Yeah.
I could just
Yeah.
go and say I'm sorry. I apologize. I
Uh-huh.
with no intentions of
Yeah.
improving upon my conduct. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
Like man, it looked good on me just to go in there and
Right.
apologize for it. And I'm not even
Right.
trying to get right
Right. Eh,
myself.
uh-huh.
I know I could just keep coming back saying, well, I'm sorry. I
Right. And I might
apologize.
not knock you for it if you do it once or twice, but if it's habitual, you got somebody that keeps, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. They do something again. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And it's never any kind of inward looking into themselves and hey man, yeah, I gotta do better and being specific, then you kind of know that person. They probably don't really care too much about you and what they do to you. So
Yeah, that's a
yeah,
big time character issue.
yeah,
Um, I would say like a man who
definitely.
doesn't, and again, we're not talking about perfection, right? I
Right.
think we need to
Yeah.
put
Yeah.
that out
Yeah.
there too. We're not talking
Yeah.
about somebody who's being perfect because we all know, on this side of heaven, you're not gonna be perfect.
Right.
And you're going to at times need to ask forgiveness for people, so we understand that. But if there's no effort on the person who offends part to improve upon their conduct, that's an issue. That's a flaw. That's a
Right.
flaw in
Character
that
flaw. Yeah.
man. Yeah, that's a flaw in any man who will conduct themselves in that way. So asking forgiveness, acknowledging mistakes, being very specific with it,
Right. Yeah.
about it, and that making every effort as much as possible within you to not continue to do those same things.
Hmm.
You think say that's a fair statement?
Definitely. 100%.
Yeah. So now I think that's also a good example of a man leading by example,
Yeah.
right? So when you have and let's just take leadership,
Hmm.
I would say. So this can apply to like the corporate world, in the household again as being a husband and a father, being leadership in those spheres. No, no, lead by example would require acknowledging mistakes and errors that you made and apologizing to the people who was affected. Would you agree
Right.
with that?
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
Far too much today, I should say. You would have leaders who don't do that. And they would just continue to do things, and then they'll try to blame shit.
Right.
Shoot, that hey, now that go back to the the snitching thing, right? Like
Hmm.
let me make somebody else feel the brunt of
Right.
what
Right.
I
I can't be the
did.
only one to go down.
Yeah.
What's the saying?
I'm not gonna go
Right. I'm
down.
not going down by myself. I'm taking
Yeah.
somebody with me.
Hey, they say, why
Uh
do 10 when you can bring a friend? You know what
huh.
they say. That's
Uh-huh.
how
Hold
a
on.
lot of dudes live. Which one you looking for? Yeah, that's exactly the fact.
Why do 10 when I can bring
Why
a
do 10 when you can
friend?
bring a friend? Or leader might say, shoot, I'm not my head not go roll. Hey, the people up under me, they messed it up. You know,
Hmm.
that's not a person who
It's not a
leads
good
by
leader.
example.
Yeah.
That's not a good leader. That's not anyone that workers are going to want to stretch for or
Right.
adjust things for or do everything they can for. You know, so those things, and again, we're talking specifically men. So those things, that something that men need to keep in mind. And I think a lot of time with some men, some people have false ideas of what um manliness is too. I think
Hmm.
that kind of ties in also, like because they'll think something like that shows weakness.
Right.
What you
Hmm.
think
Like
about that?
just being a man and asking for forgiveness shows weakness. Yeah, I think some men do think like that, or maybe might be a pride thing. You know,
Yeah,
just can't apologize to someone or admit their faults.
yeah, that's
Which is a
facts.
huge character flaw.
Mhm.
Someone does that to you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's facts. Like it's not showing weakness. In fact, that's showing strength
Right.
to be able
Hmm.
to acknowledge something that you did wrong and ask forgiveness for the person that you hurt or offended in
Right.
your doing
Yeah.
wrong. That's strength. It's easy just to I'm not saying
Right.
that.
Right. It's
Yeah,
hard.
all
Yeah,
the
to do
sweeping
that.
on the word. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
hard, and that's something I continue to learn as I get older. But I'm happy by God's grace. It's getting better for me.
Right.
So it's definitely a sign of strength and of a good character of a man to be able to lead by example in that way.
Right.
And I think also too, that's gonna mean, making hard decisions. And again, we're
Hmm.
talking about from a leadership perspective, whether you're a husband or a father, or you're in leadership in corporate America or in the culture somewhere, wherever else you're at. Making hard decisions on things and then just living with the results of the decision.
Right.
And it kind of
Yeah.
goes back. Like if something goes wrong with it, acknowledge, hey, this wasn't the best decision that I made on this. Forgive
Hmm.
me. I will try to be more informed, whatever it is
Right.
next time when it comes to time to making a decision on that. What you think about all of those things?
I agree.
Yeah, so very important for men to have that integrity and character, and we realize that, it's not just like a man can wake up tomorrow and just decide to say, all right, I'm going to have better character and integrity. Then that's
Mhm.
just it.
Yeah.
No, it takes work.
Yeah. Just like with anything else, getting those reps in, getting those, you know, I would say moral reps in there. Um, they keep getting stronger, and the Lord strengthens us. So,
Yeah,
and
that's fact. It's like you get bigger and stronger physically by repping, doing the
right.
reps. You get mentally stronger um, by reading
Hmm.
your Bible more, reading good books more. And just thinking more. That's how you work out the mind
We just be
muscle.
thinking,
Yeah, we just be
you know.
thinking. That's like the little subline.
Mhm.
Doing your mental exercises, thinking more. Making sure you stay sharp mentally. And if you want to be a man of integrity and character, like he said, I like that, getting those moral reps in. And it's not just like you
Mhm.
doing it. Okay, let me go try to do something that's good or something. No, if you
Right.
just keep living, you'll just be in that situation. You just keep living, you'll be in there. You don't have to even look for it if
Hmm.
you're a man, especially if you're a husband or a father. You're in there, and you're gonna have those opportunities just living the day to day life with your wife and your kids. And guess what you're doing too, husband and dad? You showing your children, exactly how a man should be.
Right. And that's a big thing, I think. 'Cause ultimately, like you said, bro, the men, the fathers, the husbands are leaders of their community. So it's very important for them, to have that integrity, have that character, and pass it down generation to generation. So this thing keep on rolling. So
Yeah, you're showing your
yeah,
sons how to be. You just giving your wife more confidence and surety in you,
right.
and you're taking a lot of load off of her by you being a solid man that you need to be,
Hmm.
and you're showing your daughter what type of man she should be looking for,
Right.
or I should say, what type of man who would approach her, what type of man he needs to be. If he will want to have her hand in marriage, because if she doesn't see that from you,
You don't know.
she doesn't know. But if she sees that from you, she's gonna know, like, hey, wait a minute. Uh, what I saw in my dad, or whatever he taught me, or however it is, like, this is not how this guy is. I'm not even gonna
Hmm.
waste my time on him.
Right.
No, I'm not gonna listen to him. So it has tremendous effects.
More than you know.
Yeah, more than
More
you
than you
know,
know.
because guess
Yeah.
what? It's gonna continue to go down the line, like little bro Stube said. Like,
Hmm.
you see that, and then the sons see that from their dad, then they're gonna, more than likely, by God's grace, they're gonna be the same way. They're gonna teach their kids the same way, and it just goes down and down and down that lineage.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so men, you have a great responsibility given to you by God for how you should be. So as the man goes, so goes society,
Hmm.
the household, the workplace, everything. It's of utmost importance. So,
Definitely.
yeah, being a man of integrity and character, or just to sum it up, being a man of honor is just of extreme importance. Stu, if
Hmm.
you got anything,
I agree.
he agrees. Man of many words, a man of honor and integrity and character. So, we hope you guys learned something, or at least just to have some takeaways for this episode about being a man of honor or integrity and character. And of course, it could just go forever, honestly, because it's such an important topic. But we hope that this just kind of, helps someone out, not just the men, but the women also. As maybe they're in a situation where they're single and they're desiring to be married, and men approaching them. Got to know what to look for in a man. And you got to know what type of man he should be. So hope that helps somebody out. Now, also, before we get out of here, like I always like to say, make sure, please, 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 if you have any questions, suggestions, pushback, or anything that you may have, make sure that you send all of that we looking at it all. Like I say, we not delete any email. So whatever you want to send it to Rocking Chair Chronicles, as you see it right here. Rocking Chair Chronicles 904 at gmail.com. I'll say it again. Rocking Chair Chronicles
Chronicles 904.
904 at gmail.com. So send us any kind of inquiries, questions, anything that you may have and you want to, share it with us, suggestions, topic ideas. Hey, what is it? And I just remember we like the first episode we said take it under advisement. No, it's something else. We'll take it
Ah,
under consideration. There it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll take it under
Uh-huh.
consideration when you send it. So send it. We would love to hear from you anyway. And don't forget, make sure that you like this episode, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed to the channel, and also important, share it around. Pass the word around. You got Shunny and Stube on the internet now, and they trying to share some things with
Right.
the people.
Subscribe, share before we get banned, folks. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
subscribe and share. Yeah. Hey, look, if we do get banned, we going live from somewhere. Look, hey,
Uh-huh.
we going live from email account. I don't care what it is. We gonna figure something else out to
Uh-huh.
do right here. But anyway, thank you for pulling up your chair and rocking with us today on this
One thing
episode.
I want to end with this verse here, Philippians 2:13, for the men who's seeking encouragement, and ultimately, God, works within us, to do the right thing, continue to, do those right things. For it is God who works in you to will and to act for His good pleasure. So um, that's one verse I keep in mind. I know everything is God, and He helps me, um, as we live this life, to keep doing good as it pleases Him. So
Yeah, and there's no better way to end than that. Thank you for hanging in there
hmm
with us today. Thank you for pulling up your chair and rocking it with us. We'll see y'all on the next episode of Rocket Chair Chronicles, baby.